fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The sulphurous air clung to my skin like a jealous lover as I watched Liam bury his face in the Garzeth's fur. The beast's purr vibrated through the obsidian floor, sending cracked spiderwebbing beneath my boots. Its 6 eyes blinked at me in sequence, pupils slitted like a contented house cat rather than a creature capable of rending entire battalions limb from limb. I could feel the heat emanating from its body, a warm, comforting sensation that seemed to seep into my very bones. "You're petting it," I hissed, my tail lashing behind me. The spade-shaped tip caught fire, a dead giveaway of my agitation. Liam peered up at me from a mountain of shimmering black fur, his human face flushed with an infuriating mix of mischief and innocence. His eyes sparkled with amusement, and I could sense the thrill of excitement emanating from him. "She likes it." "She," the Garzeth rumbled in that absurdly aristocratic baritone, "would appreciate it if you refrained from speaking about me as though I weren't present, Your Highness." I froze, my heart skipping a beat as the formal address, Your Highness, sank into my bones like a blade. Few knew my true title in these forsaken reaches of the scar. My glamour was flawless, my horns hidden, my aura dampened to that of a mid-tier succubus. Yet this overgrown furball saw through it all. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I realized the implications of her words. Liam's hand stilled on the Garzeth's belly, his eyes narrowing in confusion. "Highness," I ignored him, stepping closer to the beast. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and ash, and I could feel the weight of the Garzeth's gaze upon me. "How do you know who I am?" The Garzeth, Ilaria she'd called herself, lifted a clawed paw and gestured vaguely toward Liam. "The same way I know this one carries the mark of the twin cores. The same way I know you've been lying to him about the contract binding your souls." The air left my lungs, and I felt a cold dread creeping up my spine. Liam stood brushing infernal ash from his trousers. His movements were fluid, almost predatory, and I could sense the power coiled beneath his skin. "What contract?" "Nothing," I snapped too quickly. Ilaria's purr deepened into a chuckle, the sound sending a shiver down my spine. "Oh, this is delicious." The lost princess and her unwitting consort dancing around the inevitable. I could feel my face burning with embarrassment, and I knew I had to think quickly to salvage the situation. "Explain, now." Liam's voice held an edge I'd never heard before, a ripple of that new, terrifying power beneath his skin. I closed my eyes, breathing in the scorched vanilla scent of his magic, the same scent that had haunted me since the night I pulled him from the depths of the underworld. The memory of that night flashed through my mind, the feel of his skin beneath my fingers, the sound of his heartbeat in my ears. I pushed the thoughts aside, focusing on the present. "There's no contract, Liam," I said, trying to sound calm. "Ilaria's just trying to stir up trouble." But Liam's eyes narrowed, his gaze piercing. "Don't lie to me," he said, his voice low and even. "I can feel it. There's something between us, something that goes beyond just whatever this is." I stood between us, his hand waving vaguely. "I want to know what it is." I felt a surge of panic, my mind racing with the implications of his words. How much did he know? How much did he suspect? I knew I had to tread carefully to navigate the treacherous waters of our relationship without revealing too much. But as I looked into his eyes, I saw something there that gave me pause. A spark of determination, a glimmer of curiosity. And I knew that I couldn't keep the truth from him forever. "Fine," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'll tell you, but you have to promise me one thing." Liam's eyes locked onto mine, his gaze intense. "What's that?" "You have to promise me you'll listen, really listen, and not jump to conclusions." Liam nodded, his face set in a determined expression. "I promise." I took a deep breath, the words spilling out of me like blood from a wound. "The contract, it's an old one, a binding agreement between our families. It's a soul bond of sorts." Liam's eyes widened, his face pale. "A soul bond?" "Yes," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "It means that our souls are tied together, that we're connected on a deep, fundamental level." Liam's eyes searched mine, his gaze piercing. "And what does that mean exactly?" I felt a shiver run down my spine as I met his gaze. "It means that we're linked, that our emotions, our thoughts, our very lives are tied together." Liam's face was a mask of confusion, his eyes narrowed in thought. "I don't understand," he said, his voice low. "How does it work?" I took a deep breath, trying to explain the complex web of magic and emotion that bound us together. "It's complicated," I said, "but basically it means that we can sense each other's emotions, that we can feel each other's pain and joy." Liam's eyes locked onto mine, his gaze intense. "And what about the twin cores?" he asked, his voice low. "What do they have to do with it?" I felt a surge of fear, my mind racing with the implications of his question. The twin cores were a powerful and ancient magic, one that could be used to bind or break the soul bond between us. "The twin cores," I began, my voice trailing off. They're a key part of the contract," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "They're the source of the magic that binds us together." Liam's eyes narrowed, his face set in a determined expression. I see, he said, his voice low. And what does it mean exactly to be bound together like this? I felt a shiver run down my spine as I met his gaze. It means that we're connected, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. That we're tied together on a deep, fundamental level. Liam's eyes searched mine, his gaze piercing. And what about the Garzeth? He asked, his voice low. What does she have to do with it? I felt a surge of fear, my mind racing with the implications of his question. Ilaria the Garzeth was a powerful and ancient creature, one who knew more about the soul bond and the twin cores than I was comfortable with. Ilaria, I began, my voice trailing off. She's a part of it, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She's connected to the twin cores and to the magic that binds us together. Liam's eyes narrowed, his face set in a determined expression. I see, he said, his voice low. And what does it mean exactly to be connected to the twin cores? I felt a shiver run down my spine as I met his gaze. It means that we're tied to the very fabric of magic itself, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. That we're connected to the source of all power and energy. Liam's eyes searched mine, his gaze piercing. And what does that mean for us? He asked, his voice low. I felt a surge of fear, my mind racing with the implications of his question. What did it mean for us exactly? What did it mean to be bound together by a soul bond, to be tied to the very fabric of magic itself? I didn't know, not yet, but I knew that I had to find out for both our sakes. I don't know, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, but I'll find out. Liam's eyes locked onto mine, his gaze intense. Together, he said, his voice low. We'll figure it out together. I felt a surge of hope, my heart pounding in my chest. Maybe, just maybe, we could navigate the treacherous waters of our relationship and emerge stronger, more connected on the other side. Together, I said, my voice barely above a whisper, we'll face whatever comes next together.